A level 1 risk for storms for some, with more on the way. Plan ahead for tonight, tomorrow, and through the weekend after you see my forecast.
Sky 5 over a police investigation in Durham. I'll tell you what we've learned from Durham police.
And a new plan to end a months-long crisis at the Wake County Animal Center. How it could help dozens of dogs and cats find their forever homes. Then, could a homelessness emergency like what we saw in Portland or LA happen here? We go in depth. Right now at 7, not much on the radar tonight, but we are tracking storms in parts of our area again tomorrow. You can see the system bringing that chance for severe weather. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. Let's get straight over to meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a timeline on this, Kat.
Luckily, we escaped the worst of the storms this morning. Tomorrow, we have a threat for some strong storms, but it's not as hot and humid, so we're not going to have as much energy in the atmosphere tomorrow. So we're watching this approaching front that could help to spark some storms. The greatest threat for anything to be severe would be south and east of the triangle. Hail would be one of our concerns tomorrow, given the way the atmosphere is set up, but also some damaging wind gusts possible. A level 1 out of 5 risk. And we're dry tomorrow morning. It's not a repeat of the morning rain that we saw today, but lunchtime, noon, 1 o'clock, we could see our first storms of the day fire up. The best chance of that would be in the southern part of our viewing area. And then as we get later in the atmosphere, we could see storms pop up pretty much anywhere. Many models have them try to come together as a line as they get closer to I-95 and the coastal plain, and then beginning to clear out as we near sunset tomorrow night. Mother's Day weekend, we've got a pretty nice weekend ahead. I'll have a closer look at what to expect and the big change coming our way coming up.
All right, talk to you then. Thank you, Kat. And make sure you have the WRAL News app with the notifications turned on to get your weather alerts for your community. It also lets you take the radar with you anywhere you go. It is free in the App Store.
We are following breaking news in Durham, where a woman was shot, marking the 3rd shooting in the last 24 hours. This unfolded near McDougall Terrace, and police say a home and a car were hit by gunfire. Brian Shader is following this developing story in the WRAL Live Center. Brian, what can you tell us?
Well, we got some new information, Ashley, from Durham Police just in the past 30 minutes or so. Let me show you exactly where this happened at McDougall Terrace at the intersection of Lawson and Wabash Streets. About 45 minutes ago, Sky 5 was over the scene, shot this video, and you can see where police are investigating. They have that intersection blocked off, and there are also evidence markers there in the middle of that intersection. Good news from Durham Police. It appears as though that woman will survive her injuries, and also that car and that home that were hit by bullets were unoccupied. At this point, not hearing about any other injuries. Durham Police are still investigating, and while they are investigating, they have that intersection still blocked there at Lawson at Wabash.
Glad to hear she will make it through. Okay, Brian, thanks. In just the last few hours, shots were fired not far from there near a bus terminal downtown, hitting a parked car. Sky 5 flew over the police presence on West Pettigrew Street just before 5. Investigators say a group of men got into an argument and exchanged gunfire. No one was hurt, but a car was hit by bullets. People who use the bus tell WRAL they are concerned for their safety.
This is my everyday transportation, every day, each and every day. You feel safe? Not really, but I pray and I hope that nothing happens to me.
Police are asking anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers. Overnight, 4 people were shot at a Durham apartment complex. One of them died. 29-year-old Yeltsin Orozco is charged with killing 27-year-old Nelson Mendez Vasquez. The shooting unfolded at Duke Manor Apartments. Tonight, one of the survivors is fighting for her life. Durham police say this was an isolated incident.
Solutions to the crisis inside Wake County Animal Center could be on the horizon. Nearly 9,000 animals came into that facility last year, and the center needs more space and more help to continue saving animals in our community. As WRAL's Chelsea Donovan reports, the county manager has some ideas in addressing the issues.
Wake County has a population of 1.2 million people. The county says it's growing by 51 people a day. And with more people, that means more pets. And sadly, many of them are ending up right here. The Wake County Animal Shelter is bursting at the seams. There are close to 90 dogs and 12 cats. Only 5 open kennels today.
We don't have any animals that have adoptions right now. So that's going to be a problem.
For months, the shelter has been in crisis mode, from stopping surrenders to lowering adoption fees to 0 to curb that capacity.
And we really want to kind of be a little selfish and say, if you live in Wake County, adopt from our shelter.
They need more space and they need more help. And the proposed budget this year has funding for both. The county's 7-year plan for major building construction and renovation sets aside $45 million across 2 years for the new shelter. More than $8 million is in this year's proposal.
We're always up against that wall about what are we going to do?
Another suggestion from the county manager would help in the meantime, bolstering the foster and volunteer program. The proposed budget includes funding for 7 more employees in the animal center, 3 of them dedicated to expanding the foster program. That would cut overcrowding in the building.
If I foster, I'm taking this dog off our adoption floor, and that makes room for another dog, so you're essentially helping 2.
If you can't adopt or foster, Dr. Jen Federico suggests simply just volunteering your time here. Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News, Raleigh.
The North Carolina DMV is warning people about delays in getting your physical ID. The DMV says its usual 15-day timeline jumped to roughly 6 weeks after an issue with a contractor. It's a problem affecting roughly 50,000 people a week in the state, and it has some concerns about how they're going to vote next week because the temporary paper ID won't be accepted at the polls.
Our ancestors fought for it, so you're not being able to vote. Yeah, that's an issue for me. It really is a big issue.
I'm really interested in voting in this election, but I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to.
You can bring other IDs to the polls, including a passport or a voter ID card, which you can pick up at your local county board of elections. If all else fails, you can put out a photo ID exception form on the day of the election.
A chunk of your tax dollars could be on its way back to you. North Carolina has a $1.4 billion surplus in the budget, and now lawmakers say they could include a rebate in the next state budget. Senate Leader Phil Berger said today, despite some discussions of a rebate, he did not sound entirely optimistic this would happen. Part of the surplus has already been earmarked, including $500 million to expand the private school voucher program. Wake County wants to add more firefighters and EMS crews to keep up with the growth we've seen in the community. The proposed budget for the next year would increase funding in public safety by 16.3%, or nearly $36 million more dollars than what was approved in last year's budget. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm asked county leaders if they can fill all the first responder jobs after struggling with staffing shortages the last few years.
The county's proposed budget adds 10 ambulances and 30 EMTs. The director of Wake County EMS says it shouldn't be a problem filling those positions.
Ethan Lazo never knows where the day will take him when he steps inside a Wake County ambulance for work.
You never really get the same day every day.
He trained as an EMT in high school and came back to it as a career after college.
The value of, saving a life and knowing that you had a part in helping someone in their health care is a really important thing for me.
Lazo lives in Durham, but says the pay and an internal paramedic training program attracted him to Wake EMS.
Being here at Wake County has given me a lot of opportunities that I would not get at other counties.
Wake EMS has a vacancy rate near 0% right now. Just 2 years ago, 22% of frontline positions went unfilled. The department's director credits pay raises and expanded workforce development opportunities with reversing the staffing shortages.
We believe we've focused in the right place first, which is bringing in highly trained, highly qualified EMTs and paramedics into our system to provide care in our community.
Wake County is also having success at hiring a more diverse force of firefighters since launching a new recruitment campaign 2 years ago. It increased diversity by 33% in the latest class of recruits, and they're now paid with full benefits from the start of training.
And we broke down so many barriers to give people an opportunity that didn't know anything about the fire service.
We met Miles Satterfield as he went through the academy in 2022.
High flow oxygen.
Next month marks a year on the job as a firefighter in Wendell.
It's been good, day to day, just grinding, learning the job, and getting better at my craft.
Satterfield is climbing the ladder in his new career.
I had no idea that I was going to be a firefighter growing up, and I just did it. Now I'm doing it, so I'm loving it.
Matt Tallhelm, WRAL News, Wake County.
Climbing the ladder, yes, he was. Applications for the next Firefighter Academy open on May 15th. Last year, the county had a record number of applications, 990 for just 18 positions. This year, they're bringing in 20 to 25 recruits.
Well, this was an important day. It was a groundbreaking ceremony held in Wilson for the Carolina Mudcats' new stadium. Take a look. It's going up next to the Whirligig Park. The Mudcats could start playing there by April 2026 if all goes well. The stadium is one piece of a sports entertainment complex in the works. The entire project should cost $280 million private and public dollars.
Still ahead, homelessness is a growing problem in many cities nationwide, but including Raleigh. And it's a complex issue to tackle, but we're going to take a closer look at what needs to be done and what the future may look like in our capital city when we go in depth. Plus, if you're flying this weekend, you won't be alone. How RDU is preparing for one of the busiest weekends of the year.
All new in the WRAL Live Center, we're learning about a Lee County teacher facing sex charges. This all came in the last 30 minutes. This is 56-year-old Frank De Leon of Sanford. And the Lee County Sheriff says that last month they got a report of a teacher having a relationship with a student at Lee County High School. Investigators have charged De Leon with indecent liberties with a minor, second-degree sexual exploitation, and 3 counts of felony secret peeping. He is in the Lee County Jail under a $250,000 bond.
When a city grows, everything is kind of supposed to grow with it. It's supposed to. A community is balanced like a delicate ecosystem. Everything is connected in some way. Sometimes an imbalance in that is simple to understand because you can't ignore it. Something like traffic. You have traffic, it probably needs you need some bigger roads. Other times, though, it's not so obvious, and the fix isn't as simple. Raleigh City Council just awarded a bunch of money to help the homeless, saying that homelessness is up 200% in about 3 years. We've seen camps like this one pop up around town. The official count right now says that there are dozens of them around just like it. The city's plan is to get those people into housing, not shelters, but permanent housing. $3 million to move people out of camps and help them with rent payments, and then another $2 million to repair and expand affordable housing options. Is that a lot of money? $5 million total? No, not even close, not at all. Our area has roughly 1,500 homeless people, and that $5 million will help 40 of them. 40 people, less than 3%. It's a pilot program after all, but I have seen this flight plan before. Let's go in depth. So this topic is one that I've covered many times before. Some of you may know this, but I've worked all over the country and most recently in Portland, Oregon, where homeless issues are more like a humanitarian crisis. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the streets creating dramatic and seemingly impossible problems to solve. It's hard to know exactly how it got that bad, but experts are pretty sure they know how it started, and that's affordability. In a 30-year period in Portland, the city size there doubled in size. The city became a hotbed for big businesses, bringing in high-paying jobs, and those jobs attract people from more expensive cities where they sold their expensive homes and then drove up home prices in their new affordable place to live. Cost of living exploded, but wages for longtime residents didn't follow. It was like gentrifying an entire city all at once. Does any of that sound familiar? Well, of course it does, because we're living it. Raleigh's population has more than doubled in the last 30 years as well, and that's not slowing down. Meta, Google, Apple, Amazon, IBM, Cisco, Epic, the list goes on. They're investing here. Have you noticed a difference? I mean, think of your own house. How many of you bought your house 10, 15 years ago, maybe further back? You still have the same job, making a little bit more money, but ask yourself, if you had to buy your house today at the current price and interest rate, could you afford it? Redfin released a study a couple of weeks ago. They found that 40% of homeowners couldn't afford the home that they live in if they were to buy it today. And in Raleigh, we are living kind of an extreme example of that equation. Wake County is now one of the least affordable housing markets in the country, where the average wage can no longer afford the average home. This is new territory for us, but it's exactly what happened in Portland and Seattle and LA and New York and most places with massive homeless problems. But they can offer us a bit of a postcard from the future. I reached out to an old contact of mine in Portland who works with their lawmakers and business groups there. They consult him on growth and housing. And I asked him if he could travel back in time, what would he tell the city of Portland to watch out for?
The number I would pay attention to in terms of the one to really worry about is to pay close attention to the share of renters who are spending more than 50% of their income on rent.
Okay, so how are we doing with that? Well, last year, Zillow did a study showing that it takes 4 minimum wage people to afford one apartment in Raleigh. It said a person making minimum wage would have to work 144 hours a week to afford a typical one-bedroom apartment. That's 6 full days around the clock, 24 hours a day, nonstop. Now, I don't want to oversimplify things. You know, homelessness is complex. Every situation and person is unique. And yes, the pandemic created spikes in homelessness across the country. We typically explain that, though, with talks of inflation and interest rates and that sort of thing. But let's go back to 2017, about 2.5 years before COVID. UNC published a study showing that more than 400,000 people in North Carolina were spending nearly 50% of their income on rent. The math is simple. The more people you have living on that cusp, the more people will fall off that cliff into homelessness. And it doesn't take much of a nudge. A job loss, a medical emergency, car trouble, a divorce, you know, the kind of stuff that happens to everybody all of the time. So what's the answer? Raleigh's City Council says affordable housing, which I think is the next part of this conversation. But let's call it for tonight, all right? Let me know what you think. There's much more to discuss with this story and topic. Trust me, as long as life continues to be out of reach for more and more people in our area, this issue will not go away. Quite the opposite. Email me at dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
Got to stay on that one, Dan. Important topic. Let's take a live look at RDU tonight. It looks almost cloudy out there, hazy. Airport workers are preparing for one of its busiest weekends of the year, actually. RDU is expecting more than 300,000 people to pass through over the next few days. That's a 6% increase from Mother's Day weekend last year. Not only will people be flying for the holiday, actually, here's the big one. Thousands will be coming to the Triangle for college graduations. It's going to be a busy one, Kat. And how is this weekend going to look? We've got Mother's Day, we've got graduations. Everybody's hoping for good weather. And it looks great, Ashley. Less humid. That's one of the things that's going to make it feel amazing outside this weekend. Very comfortable temperatures. Temperatures will drop. We'll be in the 70s Saturday and Sunday, 74 Saturday, mostly sunny and 79 degrees for Mother's Day. Here's the thing. We've got one more round of potential storms to get through first. Those would arrive tomorrow afternoon. So tomorrow is our transition day, but behind that system, we are finally done with rain chances for a little bit after that. So let's talk about tomorrow in more detail. 8 a.m., we're not likely to wake up to a wet morning commute again. It's a quiet start to the day. It's as we get toward noon or 1 o'clock that we could see our first storms of the day popping up, mainly in our southern counties. And then after that, during the afternoon, the storms could really pop up anywhere. They should be moving from west to east. As we near sunset, the activity should die down and things should quiet down tomorrow night. Saturday morning, it is possible that we wake up to some clouds in the morning, partly cloudy during the afternoon. And I do want to mention there is a weak disturbance that will swing in from the west Saturday evening into early Saturday night. That brings a 20% chance of a sprinkle. Keep in mind the air dries out significantly at the surface, so this should just be some quick passing sprinkles that we could see Saturday evening and night. We've got a 20% chance in for Saturday night. I wouldn't cancel any outdoor plans for it. Things look great for the graduations. UNC on Saturday evening, 68 degrees, 62 for Shaw University, 10 a.m. mostly sunny. And for Meredith College, a couple ceremonies for the early one, 55 by 11 a.m., 65 on Saturday for spring commencement. And then Duke, you're graduating on Sunday. Congratulations to all the grads out there. Looks great, 9 a.m., 59, mostly sunny. Overall, looking like a really nice day. North Hills, it's a beautiful evening. You can see the sun setting in the distance there. It's been quiet on the dual Doppler 5000 radar this afternoon, and things should stay pretty quiet for us this evening. Something really interesting, a geomagnetic storm watch has been issued through Sunday. Well, what does this mean? It's not out of the question that we could see the northern lights here in North Carolina Saturday night. So here's the thing. The forecast for tomorrow night, a very high likely the northern U.S. will see the northern lights. The official forecast from the Space Weather Prediction Center for Saturday hasn't yet come out. But given the data we've been looking at, it would be more possible Saturday night here in North Carolina. Ashley Rowe is going to be interviewing NASA Ambassador Tony Rice tonight, and he'll have much more on that
really cool stuff to talk about. Just want to give you that heads up for Saturday night. You want to be in a dark spot if we're able to see the northern lights. So the weekend looks great. Things look quiet into Monday of next week, but a stormy pattern is likely to return toward the middle of next week, and that could bring a pretty healthy dose of rain to us.
I love it. Kat just doing my work for me, just promoting it. Thank you, Kat.
I'm going to
Appreciate
be
it.
watching, Ashley.
Thanks.
Still ahead, if you're looking to celebrate Mother's Day in our area, we're going to help you plan. Lots of events happening this weekend coming up in Out and About.
This Mother's Day weekend, celebrate at a local botanical garden or maybe a retro gaming market.
Lots to do. WRAL lifestyle editor Kathy Hanrahan has all the details to help you plan your weekend in this week's edition of Out and About.
Instead of getting Mom a bouquet of flowers for Mother's Day, bring her to a local garden to see hundreds of flowers. Juniper Level Botanical Garden and Nursery in Raleigh is hosting an open house this weekend. The garden features 28 acres of exotic plants. After this weekend, the garden won't have open nursery days until July. Enjoy 2 days of live music and more fun during the Beats and Bars Festival on Friday and Saturday in Durham. This hip-hop festival will be held at American Underground and Lot 20. Tickets are still available. And finally, get some last-minute shopping done for Mom at the Raleigh Retro Gamers Triangle Town Market on Saturday. From noon to 5 p.m., there will be more than 50 gaming and geek-related vendors. These are just a few ways to get out and about this weekend. Kathy Hanrahan, WRAL News.
Related vendors, I like it. Hey, a new skate park in the town of Hillsborough is about to get underway.
Today, crews began construction. They really began preparing the site for construction. These are the renderings. It'll be at Cates Creek Park. It's expected to be between 5,000 to 6,000 square feet. Looks awesome. Actual construction on the skate park will start May 22nd.
All right.
Yeah. Thanks for making WRAL your choice for local news.
Our next newscast at 10 o'clock on Fox 50 and 11 back here on WRAL. Have a great night.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air channel 34 and Spectrum channel 1257.